Is one instance of betrayal worthy of forgiveness? Jimin returned home from a business trip, only to find a pair of men's shoes outside his door that were clearly not his. A sense of dread washed over him as he held his breath and walked toward the bedroom. The sight that greeted him shattered his heart. He had planned to surprise his wife, only to realize he was a fool. But for the sake of their adopted daughter, would you? Jimin chose to swallow his anger and pretend nothing had happened. To his dismay, rather than showing remorse, his wife grew more reckless. During a time when Wooju was sick with a fever, she went out to party, even forgetting the soup cooking on the stove. This negligence nearly cost Wooju her life due to carbon monoxide poisoning. When she finally returned, she found a disaster waiting for her, leading to a complete rupture in their relationship. Aware of her inability to face her husband and child, she packed her bags and left the country without looking back. Years later, after achieving career success abroad, she returned to Korea but could never forget Jimin's kindness. Memories of their past happiness haunted her, causing her heart to ache. Summoning her courage, she approached Jimin to seek reconciliation, claiming that not a day passed without thoughts of him and their child. She insisted that her previous mistakes were merely errors in judgment. Jimin, however, firmly told her that reconciliation was impossible. Just as he was about to leave, she mentioned having gone to Wooju's school the day before, only for Wooju to run away upon seeing her. This revelation made Jimin reconsider. Perhaps he had wronged Yunsu after all. He warned Sammy not to see their daughter again and rushed away. On his way, he received a call from the police, informing him that a new witness and surveillance footage could prove Yunsu's innocence. Regarding the trafficking accusations, the thought of having called Yunsu trash just the day before filled him with regret. Meanwhile, Yunsu was released from custody, but the weather turned foul with heavy rain. Alone and without shelter, she lowered her hat and pressed on. Suddenly, a rain umbrella appeared in front of her, and when she looked up, it was Jimin. He took her to a nearby food stall, where he apologized for wrongly accusing her and expressing his remorse for his rash actions. Yunsu didn't blame him. Instead, she felt relieved that her daughter had a loving adoptive father. As they parted ways, Jimin extended an invitation on behalf of Wooju to share a meal together, as a way to thank Yunsu for saving her life. After some hesitation, Yunsu agreed because she wanted to show her daughter the best version of herself, one last time before leaving. When Yunsu appeared before Jimin, having put great effort into her appearance, he was stunned. They headed to a picnic at a camping site, where Jimin prepared a barbecue while Yunsu, for the first time, braided Wooju's hair and adorned her with a handmade flower crown. Watching Wooju's joy filled Yunsu with an unprecedented sense of happiness. Even the simple food on the table felt special due to Yunsu's thoughtful arrangement. They spent a delightful afternoon together. While washing the dishes, Yunsu curiously asked why Jimin's wife hadn't joined them. With some embarrassment, he admitted that he was divorced. This revelation made Yunsu glance at Wooju, reminding her of the love her daughter had been missing, filling her with sadness. As they were saying goodbye, Wooju leaned in and whispered to Yunsu that she could come find her whenever she missed her. Perhaps the statement shifted Yunsu's perspective. She couldn't sit back and let her daughter live without a mother's love, yet she couldn't reveal her identity either. Therefore, the only choice left was to once again become her mom. A woman stood before the mirror, deliberately tearing her lace top. She then seamlessly slipped into a man's white shirt, preparing to set a seductive trap for the single father in front of her. To execute her plan, she had spent a week meticulously mapping out Jimin's schedule, marking his movements on a hand-drawn map. At last, her efforts paid off when Jimin was assigned to attend a cherry blossom festival out of town. To create a romantic encounter, Yunsu positioned herself along his route, dressed as a face painter for children, waiting for her chance. Sure enough, when Jimin spotted her, he naively believed it was fate that brought them together, and even invited her to enjoy the cherry blossoms. With Jimin clearly intrigued, Yunsu seized the moment. They strolled beneath the blooming cherry trees, an atmosphere of flirtation enveloping them, causing them both to lose track of time. Yunsu nearly missed the last bus, all part of her plan. When Jimin went to buy food, she intentionally let the last bus leave, giving herself an excuse to stay behind. Seeing Jimin rush out in a panic made her realize she was just a step away from success. His endearing clumsiness amused her, although he remained blissfully unaware that she had him right where she wanted him. Since they missed the last bus, Jimin had no choice but to find a hotel for Yunsu to stay the night. While he settled for his car, watching him walk away, Yunsu felt both touched and disappointed, as this was not the outcome she desired. However, her spirits lifted when she spotted Jimin sitting alone on the beach, the sea breeze ruffling his hair. Seizing the opportunity, she brought him a beer and returned the borrowed shirt. As they shared heartfelt conversations, She noticed his injured hand and tenderly bandaged it, complimenting his hands for being as warm as his heart. She added that no matter how beautiful the scenery, walking alone felt lonely, and Jimin felt like a precious gift that warmed her. After that day, Yunsu's presence lingered in Jimin's mind, difficult to shake off. Even while driving, thoughts of her made him smile, and he hesitated to remove the bandage on his hand, which served as a reminder of her care. He noticed the shirt sleeve, mended perfectly by Yunsu, and his fondness for her grew. Yunsu, eager to continue her momentum, set another encounter in motion at the supermarket, where she saw Jimin struggling to make seaweed rice rolls. She offered to help, proposing a deal where he would help her paint her house in exchange. This arrangement felt like a young couple in their first home, one painting while the other cooked. As they prepared to part ways, Yunsu noticed paint on Jimin's face and instinctively stepped forward to wipe it off. This intimate gesture almost caused Jimin, who had been single for years, to lose his composure, prompting him to awkwardly excuse himself and leave. Seeing her chance, Yunsu chased after him, gifting him a painting as thanks. This gesture fully opened the door for her, allowing Yunsu to officially step into Jimin's life. This little girl has faced a tumultuous fate since birth. Her mother gave birth to her while serving a prison sentence. By the time she was just a month old, the poor conditions of the prison had caused her to develop asthma. Reluctantly, her mother handed her over to her wealthy grandmother for care. However, the cruel grandmother showed no love and ordered her subordinates to drown the baby in a lake. Fortunately, a compassionate secretary discovered the plan and secretly rescued her, placing her with a kind couple for adoption. Sadly, their good fortune didn't last long. The incompetent adoptive mother began an affair with another man, leaving the feverish girl alone at home. This negligence resulted in the girl suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning, nearly costing her life. In a fit of rage, her adoptive father divorced her mother, who then left without a second thought, abandoning the girl and heading abroad. Despite her adoptive father Jimin treating her as if she were his own daughter, the absence of a mother left her feeling deeply insecure. She was often mocked by her classmates for being a motherless child. All of this was witnessed by her biological mother, Yunsu, who had just been released from prison. However, Yunsu hesitated to reveal herself to her daughter, knowing that if her vicious mother-in-law found out that Yuju was still alive, she would not stop until she had her. Determined to protect her daughter legitimately, Yunsu decided to marry Jimin and become Yuju's stepmother. Fortunately, her plan unfolded smoothly. Yunsu first employed her charm to captivate Jimin, and then, leveraging her solid skills in painting, she became Yuju's art tutor, spending time with her daughter and relishing the precious moments they had lost. However, the good times were short-lived. One day, while accompanying Yuju to a painting competition, Yunsu discovered that the event was hosted at her wealthy mother-in-law's company. This realization made her anxious, but she grit her teeth and stayed by Yuju's side to avoid disrupting the competition. Unfortunately, her mother-in-law, Kim Ho-ran, spotted her immediately. Yet Kim pretended not to recognize Yunsu and, in her capacity as a president, encouraged Yuju to do her best in the competition before leaving. Although Yunsu was unaware of Kim Ho-ran's true intentions, seeing the woman she despised caused her stomach to twist with anxiety. When she exited the restroom and saw Kim Ho-ran pulling Yuju towards a car, a protective instinct surged within her. Without hesitation, she rushed forward and grabbed Kim's hand, glaring at her to demand what she was up to. This aggressive action startled Yuju, who was left confused. Yunsu quickly found an excuse to step away with Yuju, and then prepared to confront Kim Ho-ran directly. To her surprise, Kim turned the situation around on her, claiming she was merely trying to give a gift to a child participating in the art competition. She questioned why Yunsu was reacting so strongly. In a moment of panic, Yunsu lied, saying that Yuju was the daughter of someone she admired and that it was her responsibility to protect her. She warned Kim Ho-ran to stay away from Yuju in the future. However, this only led to Kim mocking her. Ultimately, their encounter ended on a sour note, unaware that the cunning Kim Ho-ran had achieved her goal. The ruthless grandmother of the wealthy family, under the pretense of delivering toys, stealthily pulled a lock of hair from the little girl's head. She suspected that this girl was her granddaughter, whom she had ordered drowned 10 years ago to take revenge on her daughter-in-law. Just a few days prior, Kim Ho-ran had received a report from a bodyguard she had sent to monitor her former daughter-in-law, revealing that Yunsu had started a new relationship. To her surprise, the girl seemed to be very close to Yunsu's new partner, Jimin. Additionally, the report mentioned that the little girl suffered from asthma, which triggered Kim Ho-ran's suspicion, as her deceased granddaughter had also had asthma. Was it all just a coincidence? With the mindset of better to wrongfully accuse 1,000 than let one slip away, Kim Ho-ran contacted Jimin's ex-wife, Saemi, hoping to uncover some answers. As expected, Saemi confirmed that they had adopted Yoo-ju, showing Kim Ho-ran a photo of the girl. Upon closer inspection, Kim Ho-ran was shocked to see that the blanket in the photo looked identical to the one that had wrapped her granddaughter. She quickly asked about the blanket's origin, and Saemi explained that it had been used to wrap Yoo-ju since she was at the orphanage. Hearing this sent a chill down Kim Ho-ran's spine, sparking a bold hypothesis. That night, she personally went to Jimin's neighborhood. Observing Yoon-soo's affectionate interactions with Yoo-ju solidified her suspicions. Determined to confirm her theory, she decided to conduct a DNA test in secret. This led to the earlier scene where she collected Yoo-ju's hair. Later that night, she met with Secretary Yoon, who had been responsible for dealing with her granddaughter's case, and handed him the collected hair samples for testing. Unaware of the true situation, Secretary Yoon had no choice but to comply. However, when he received the test results, he was completely stunned. He rushed to Kim Ho-ran's home to explain, but before he could say anything, she threw the test results in front of him, having already learned of his betrayal. Understanding the full truth, Kim Ho-ran knew she would not let Yoon-soo and her daughter escape unharmed. Secretary Yoon intended to warn Yoon-soo to be cautious, but Kim Ho-ran cunningly threatened him with his son, forcing him to remain her puppet. The next day, Jimin and Yoon-soo attended Yoo-ju's art competition awards ceremony together. As they celebrated Yoo-ju's achievements, their lonely hearts finally found solace in one another. Unbeknownst to them, however, a pair of piercing eyes was watching from behind the curtain. Kim Ho-ran slowly approached Saemi, sensing that the time was ripe, and handed her the results of the DNA test involving Yoon-soo and her daughter. This woman is truly despicable. Despite being the one sneaking around behind her husband's back, she caused her adopted daughter to suffer from gas poisoning due to a high fever, which ultimately led to her divorce from Jimin. Now that she's discovered that her ex-husband seems to have a new relationship, Saemi's jealousy is reigniting. The next day, she confronts Jimin, questioning him about whether he has found another woman. Saemi's shamelessness leaves Jimin speechless, prompting him to intentionally call Yoon-soo in front of her, showcasing their affection. Saemi is so furious that she nearly bites her teeth in frustration. Seeing Jimin's unwavering stance, she redirects her anger toward Yoon-soo, arranging to meet her in a cafe. As Yoo-ju's mother, she warns Yoon-soo not to harbor any thoughts of Jimin, as she intends to reconcile with him. However, instead of backing down, Yoon-soo takes this opportunity to declare war against her. Saemi's repeated failures infuriate her to the extreme. Fortunately, she learns from Yoon-soo's wicked mother-in-law, Kim Ho-ran, that Yoon-soo's adopted daughter, Yoo-ju, is actually her biological daughter. Determined to take advantage of this information, Saemi decides to collaborate with Kim Ho-ran. One day, after finishing work, Jimin discovers an envelope in his mailbox. Inside, he finds a shocking photo of Yoon-soo holding a baby, and he immediately recognizes the blanket wrapped around the baby as Yoo-ju's. An ominous feeling suddenly washes over him. The next day, he checks the neighborhood surveillance footage and realizes that Saemi is behind this. He confronts Saemi, confirming from her that Yoon-soo is indeed Yoo-ju's birth mother. Despite Saemi's attempts to slander Yoon-soo, Jimin recognizes her malice and chastises Saemi for not having the right to judge others, warning her to stay away from Yoon-soo. This nearly drives Saemi mad. However, trust is like a mirror. Once cracked, it is hard to restore. After much deliberation, Jimin visits Yoon-soo and shows her the photo, tentatively asking if she knew about it beforehand. He tells her that if she claims ignorance, he will choose to believe her. Yet Yoon-soo, unwilling to lie any longer, confesses everything. Learning that he has once again been deceived by the woman he loves leaves Jimin feeling devastated, and he accuses Yoon-soo of playing with his and Yoo-ju's emotions. He cannot understand how she could abandon their daughter for so many years, and now pretend to seek her out with false sincerity. Yoon-soo, wanting to share her struggles with Jimin, realizes too late that he has been deeply hurt. He refuses to believe any more of her lies and decisively cuts off all ties with her, vowing never to have contact again. Once Jimin leaves, Yoon-soo realizes that Kim Ho-ran is manipulating things from behind the scenes. She rushes to Kim Ho-ran's house, vowing not to yield to her. Kim Ho-ran mocks her, claiming she's all talk despite being at a dead end. She then throws down all the photos taken of Yoon-soo, misleading her into believing that Secretary Yoon has betrayed her. Naively, Yoon-soo falls for the trap and angrily calls Secretary Yoon to chastise him for his disloyalty. Secretary Yoon, aware that he has fallen victim to Kim Ho-ran's scheme, proposes a meeting with Yoon-soo, claiming he has evidence that could overturn Kim Ho-ran. However, when Yoon-soo arrives at the agreed location, she is surprised to find Jimin there as well. leading him to mistakenly believe that Yoon-soo has intentionally staged another encounter. Just as Yoon-soo is about to clarify everything, another unexpected incident occurs. This mother-in-law is terrifying. Knowing that her son has been abusing his wife for years, she chooses to turn a blind eye. When her son is ultimately killed by his wife in self-defense during one of his violent episodes, she blames everything on the daughter-in-law. Not only does she use her wealth and power to imprison Yoon-soo for 10 years, but she also has Yoon-soo's father killed in a car accident. Even her own granddaughter, still in swaddling clothes, is ordered to be drowned, all to make Yoon-soo feel the pain of losing a child. However, 10 years later, when she learns that her granddaughter is still alive, she threatens Secretary Yoon with the life of his son to get to Yoo-joo. Unbeknownst to her, Secretary Yoon has been secretly investigating Kim Ho-ran all these years and has gathered enough evidence to expose her. He threatens her to stop her actions, or he will reveal the truth to the public. Kim Ho-ran, however, is not someone who can be easily manipulated. That night, Secretary Yoon falls from a high building and dies tragically in front of Yoon-soo. The police quickly concluded as a suicide. Although Yoon-soo presents the call logs she had with Secretary Yoon to the police, explaining that he would never commit suicide, they refused to open a case due to insufficient evidence. Disheartened, Yoon-soo leaves the police station and unexpectedly runs into Jimin, who is also there for questioning. From him, she learns that Secretary Yoon had tried to meet him before his death to report on Kim Ho-ran. Realizing that her wicked mother-in-law is behind everything, Yoon-soo storms into Kim Ho-ran's company, demanding to know if she is responsible for Secretary Yoon's death. Initially, Kim Ho-ran scoffs at her, mocking Yoon-soo as a jinx who has caused the deaths of her own husband and father. And now even the one person who tried to help her, Secretary Yoon, has met the same fate. Kim Ho-ran further threatens that if Yoon-soo doesn't want her daughter to be next, she should return her granddaughter to her. Yoo-joo is everything to Yoon-soo, and she warns Kim Ho-ran that if she harms a hair on her daughter, she will ensure they both perish together. Understanding that Kim Ho-ran will not let this go easily, and that she cannot fight this battle alone, Yoon-soo turns to Jimin for help. She opens up to him about how she was wrongfully accused of being a murderer, how Kim Ho-ran tricked her into losing her daughter, and Secretary Yoon's efforts to save Yoo-joo. Though Jimin hasn't forgiven her, he reluctantly agrees to cooperate with Yoon-soo to protect Yoo-joo. He has uncovered evidence that Secretary Yoon did not commit suicide, and that someone had deliberately obstructed his efforts to clear Yoon-soo's name 10 years ago. And that someone is Kim Ho-ran. To protect those he loves and to fulfill the justice he failed to deliver 10 years ago, Jimin formally declares war on Kim Ho-ran. Upon learning that her ex-husband is about to remarry, this woman, unwilling to let go, rushes to her former mother-in-law to slander her rival. She claims that the woman is a terrifying individual who spent 10 years in prison for murdering her husband. Alarmed, the old woman immediately seeks out her son to confirm the truth. Seeing Jimin's stiff expression, his mother suspects the worst. She cannot believe that her normally composed son would choose a murderer as his wife, especially one who killed her own husband. She absolutely cannot allow such a thing to happen. Reluctantly, Jimin explains to his mother that Yoon-soo is Yoo-joo's biological mother, firmly believing in Yoon-soo's innocence and vowing to help clear her name. His mother, seeing her son's determination, refrains from arguing further but still harbors deep reservations about accepting Yoon-soo. The next day, she discreetly invites Yoon-soo to her home, revealing that she knows everything. She makes it clear that for the sake of her son and granddaughter, she will not forcibly separate them, but she will not bless their union either. Her words pierce Yoon-soo's heart. She realizes that those who lie do not deserve happiness. Meanwhile, Saemi is also busy at work. She plays a family card, convincing her former sister-in-law to let her take Yoo-joo out, hoping to create a positive impression by providing the best art teacher and treating her to delicious steak. However, despite the rare quality time, Yoo-joo cannot help but recall how Saemi once abandoned her during a fever to meet a lover, leading to her gas poisoning and near-death experience. Despite these painful memories, Saemi, preoccupied with urgent work, leaves Yoo-joo behind again, prompting Yoo-joo to call her aunt to pick her up before Saemi rushes away. Just as Yoo-joo feels let down, she is unaware that danger is quietly approaching. On the other side, while Yoon-soo is mourning Secretary Yoon, she suddenly receives a photo of Yoo-joo on a yacht. Frantically, she calls Yoo-joo back, only to hear the wicked voice of Kim Ho-ran on the line, who then gives Yoon-soo an address before hanging up. Panicked, Yoon-soo rushes to confront Kim Ho-ran and is relieved to find Yoo-joo unharmed. It becomes clear that Kim Ho-ran just wants Yoon-soo to understand that she can take away everything she cherishes at any moment, and the only way to protect Yoo-joo is for her to stay far away. Meanwhile, Jimin's family is frantic because they cannot find Yuju. Eventually, they wait for Yoonsu to return with a sleeping Yuju. But after placing her down, Yoonsu collapses from exhaustion. When she wakes, she cannot stop blaming herself for putting Yuju in danger by getting involved with Kim Ho-ran. However, during their time together, Jimin has fallen deeply in love with this kind and strong woman. He takes her hand and makes a heartfelt confession, wanting to bring her happiness. Yet Yoonsu still feels unworthy of Jimin and tries to flee, only to be pulled tightly into his embrace. Their warm hearts finally draw close together. This scene is witnessed by Jimin's mother outside. The next day, she storms into Yoonsu's home, scolding her but ultimately expressing her true feelings. Concerned that Yuju may not handle the truth well, Jimin's mother decides to keep Yoonsu's past a secret for now, planning to reveal it to everyone at the right time. Thus, the two genuinely in love finally reach their happy conclusion and step into the realm of marriage. But unforeseen events are set to unfold once again. This vicious mother-in-law, upon learning that her ex-daughter-in-law is finding happiness again, crashes Yoonsu's wedding uninvited. Taking advantage of the moment when no one is around, she deliberately reveals to granddaughter Yuju that Yoonsu is a murderer, who spent time in prison. This shocking revelation leads Yuju, unaware of the truth, to believe that her stepmother is a heinous criminal. Overwhelmed by fear, she suffers an asthma attack and faints at the wedding. Fortunately, she is rushed to the hospital in time to be saved. However, upon examination, doctors unexpectedly discover that Yuju is not merely suffering from an asthma attack, but has a serious condition known as pulmonary arterial sclerosis. To make matters worse, Yuju has a significant allergic reaction to medication. If things continue this way, she may have less than a year left to live. The only solution is a lung transplant, which carries significant risks for the donor, who could be in danger at any time. Despite the risks, Jimin does not hesitate. He is willing to seize any glimmer of hope for Yuju. Meanwhile, Yoonsu, who has been pacing outside, rushes in and expresses her willingness to donate her lungs as well. However, the doctor complicates matters by stating that donors must be blood relatives to qualify for testing. This simple issue proves to be a major hurdle for them. Although Yoonsu is Yuju's biological mother by blood, she lacks a legal identity in ethical terms, leaving Jimin as their only hope. After a series of tests, however, the results reveal that Jimin's lungs are not a match. Just when despair envelops him, Yoonsu reveals that she has found a way to save Yuju. It turns out that Yoonsu secretly arranged for tests, which showed that she is a match. The only remaining obstacle is to prove at an ethics committee meeting that Yoonsu is indeed Yuju's biological mother, allowing the surgery to proceed immediately. Even so, Jimin does not want to risk Yoonsu's safety and comforts her, suggesting they might soon find a suitable donor. But Yoonsu knows that Yuju cannot wait, so she views this opportunity as the best gift for her daughter, and assures Jimin that she will fight to survive. Just as things seem to be moving in a positive direction, Yoonsu suddenly thinks she sees Kim Ho-ran's figure in the hospital. When she approaches, however, there is no one there. Assuming it to be an illusion, she brushes it off. That evening, Kim Ho-ran comes to confront her, revealing that she has known about Yoonsu's plans to donate her organs, and has already spoken to the hospital director. She ominously declares that she will ensure Yoonsu witnesses Yuju's death. Yoonsu, fueled by years of repressed anger, confronts Kim Ho-ran, saying that she hasn't yet come to settle the score. In a moment of rage, she seizes Kim Ho-ran by the hair and violently confronts her, overpowering her. As she chokes Kim Ho-ran on the ground, just when it seems Kim Ho-ran will suffocate, her loyal bodyguard intervenes to save her. Kim Ho-ran does not retaliate against Yoonsu through her bodyguard. Instead, she leaves with a cruel threat, telling Yoonsu to wait for the day when a white-haired person has to send off a black-haired one. Unbeknownst to Kim Ho-ran, Yoonsu is gripping a large handful of her hair, which could become the key to her eventual victory. The wicked mother-in-law, upon discovering that her granddaughter is close to death, tries to obstruct her daughter-in-law's efforts to save the child. In a fit of rage, she threatens the hospital, warning that anyone who dares to perform surgery on her granddaughter without her consent will face severe consequences in their medical careers. This intimidation leaves the doctors too afraid to act. In response, Yoonsu boldly confronts Kim Ho-ran, telling her she has no right to make such threats. She then hands Kim Ho-ran an envelope containing a DNA test report, which leaves Kim Ho-ran in shock. It reveals that she has no biological relationship with Yuju. Kim Ho-ran realizes that Yoonsu must have pulled out her hair during their altercation, exposing her lies. Defeated, Kim Ho-ran leaves in disgrace. However, her misfortunes are only beginning. As soon as she arrives at her company, the local prosecutor shows up with a search warrant, launching an investigation into her for tax evasion and money laundering. This is thanks to Jimin, who has secretly gathered evidence of Kim Ho-ran's illegal activities. While this evidence is not enough to take her down, it gives them a brief respite to focus on Yuju's surgery. At the same time, during a crackdown on illegal gambling, police discover a suspect who bears a striking resemblance to the person caught on surveillance footage at the scene of Secretary Yoon's murder. However, without solid evidence, they cannot identify him as a killer. The police consult Jimin, who takes pictures of the suspect's belongings to show Yoon-soo, hoping she might spot something useful. Yoon-soo successfully identifies her late husband's watch among the items. This particular model is one of only 3 in the country, providing a solid link to the evidence. With this proof, the police apprehend the suspect. Faced with undeniable evidence, he confesses that he was indeed hired by Kim Ho-ran to kill Secretary Yoon, but denies killing Yoon-soo's husband, claiming he was already dead when he arrived at the scene, only taking the watch out of greed. Despite this twist, the suspect's recorded confession about Kim Ho-ran instructing him to kill her son and frame Yoon-soo is enough to convict Kim Ho-ran. Just as the police prepare to arrest her, Kim Ho-ran voluntarily walks into the police station and confesses to all her crimes. She explains that Yoon-soo's husband was her adopted son, who had developed a severe drug addiction, and she couldn't allow her company to be ruined by him, leading her to take desperate measures. With Kim Ho-ran's name cleared, Yoon-soo finally earns Yuju's forgiveness. However, on the same day, a bodyguard of Kim Ho-ran arrives at Yoon-soo's door to apologize. During their conversation, Yoon-soo hears the bodyguard's ringtone and realizes it matches the one she heard the night her husband was murdered. It dawns on her that the bodyguard is the one who killed her husband and framed her. Just as she processes this revelation, the bodyguard grabs her and begins to choke her. In a tense moment, Jimin arrives just in time to rescue her. Although the bodyguard escapes, justice is ultimately served when the police apprehend him later. In prison, upon learning of his capture, Kim Ho-ran's facade crumbles. It turns out that he is actually the son she has kept hidden. Fearing his adopted brother would claim his inheritance, Kim Ho-ran killed him and framed Yoon-soo, believing it would protect her wealth. In the end, evil does not prevail. Kim Ho-ran faces the consequences of her actions, destined to live out her days in loneliness behind bars. As Yoon-soo and Yuju make their way to the operating room, Yuju, feeling anxious, thanks her, saying, "Mom, thank you." At that moment, Yoon-soo hears the words she has longed for over the past decade. Yuju has already come to see her as her mother. The two embrace, hand in hand, stepping into a future filled with hope and beauty. The web of lies finally comes to an end. Thank you all for watching. We look forward to seeing you in our next drama.